Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Plakata Nation. I'm really excited to be joined by, of course, Primo from the Bronx, Cousin Rod.
Yer.
What's going on, my man? And then
What's
we
going on?
have
What's going on?
baseball writer extraordinaire, Jesus. What's going on, baby?
¿Qué
Good to have
pasó?
you
¿Cómo
on the
están?
show.
How are you guys?
Yeah,
Doing
man.
well, doing
Pumped up,
well.
man. Jesus Ortiz, Cuz Rod, Carlos Peña right here. We are really excited right now because baseball is back.
Woo! Finally.
Right. Man, when you see, I don't know about you guys, man, but when I see, the guys getting to spring training, you see them walking to their workouts. And of course, it brings incredible memories for me, right? Like, just to get out there, you see that nice, fresh cut grass, dew on it. And then the field so like beautifully taken care of. You see the white bases, the pearls, the baseballs, just a beautiful thing. The smell of pine tar, the smell of my glove, all those things. Like, goodness, man, I still get goosebumps when I think about it. And that sound, as soon as that batting practice starts, and I know it's just pitchers and catchers right now, but when you see the guys taking BP and you hear the crack of the bat, crack. I mean that's got to be the best sound in the world. All right, the crack of the bat. If you have, a lot of people say, "Oh, the swoosh of the net, whatever." Crack of the bat, best sound in all sports. Agree?
100%. 100%, man. It's a romantic sound. It's something where you hear it and it makes you smile and it feels amazing. It's beautiful. And you're 100% right. The aesthetics of spring training, when you see players with the big bags coming in, smile on their faces, hope and optimism at a high because everybody, it's just a new year. You're starting anew. You have the highest of highs and hopes that this will be the year that the team is successful. I heard yesterday, Francisco Alvarez, the catcher of the Mets, they asked him, "What's the goal this year?" He looked into the camera and said, "Win the World Series." Like that's you hear if you're a Met fan and you hear that, you just get chills all over your body, man. I'm so hyped for this year for so many reasons, so many storylines. Man, I'm up there, bro. I'm so ready for this to start.
I,
Indeed, man.
I like to hear the snap of the ball going in the glove like a
Oh
95
yeah.
mile per hour fastball. When you have like the big guys throwing, you're like, oh my. And the first time you get to see that curveball again break, you're like, whoa. Like I always would love to sit behind, the six pack of where six guys are throwing bullpen sessions for the first time. I always like to sit behind the little gate and watch as the balls, like the curveballs, the fastballs, and see how fast they really come at you.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's speaking of the sound of the games, like of the game. When they throw the baseball, you're right. Okay, you hear the pop of the glove, right? You hear pop right into the glove, but there's like this buzz, like right as the ball's flying, that I absolutely love. It's like spoop, spot, spot, and I used to love just listening to that, especially when these guys spin it when they're throwing their bullpens. You can hear it, boom, right into the catcher's mitt. Man, it's like, wow, that's just music to my ears. I'll tell you this story, personal story. I actually recorded, I was doing this on purpose, just trying to get my mind going. I recorded just hard hit balls off the bat, right? Just the crack of the bat over and over. Pop, 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 right, one after the other, and I made it into like a 3 minute recording. And all I heard was like a BP, like crack, you know, I can't even like emulate it. It's beautiful. And the reason why I did it is because I just thought it did something for me as far as my mentality was concerned. It's like, okay, that's the way it's supposed to sound when you square up a baseball. So I used to listen to that on repeat almost, before the games, just how it should sound when you square up a baseball. Anything to get an edge. And if that got my mind right, why not, right? Now I
It's what
miss
you've
it.
always said.
I need it now to go to sleep to it or something.
It- it's what you've always said about visualizing. I remember when in your playing days, we would always talk, and you would tell me, I like to visualize the at bat. I like to visualize the game. I like to get my mind right. And you doing that, it was a visual. It was like it was you preparing your mind for the at bats, for the game, for the moments. And you were doing that without you even realizing it, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and another thing you say, Jesus, when you think about the beginning of spring training, and Cuz Rod was talking about it, it's the new beginning, right? Like I understand like New Year's, people make New Year's resolutions, but for me, for some reason, spring training, even when I was a kid, just as a fan, spring training was actually the beginning of the year. Like even though the date was in February, I'm thinking, okay, I mean, rightfully so, right? This is what I do. So the beginning of my year was spring training, which is kind of cool because everybody listening to us right now, hey, you get a second chance, okay? So if you had some resolutions that maybe didn't go the way you wanted them to go, guess what? You get another one. Like, hey, it's the beginning of the year. It's the beginning of the Major League season. So go ahead and start it again. Give it another try. It's all good, right? Why not? Take
Yes,
advantage of it.
that is a fact.
Yeah,
That is a
yeah,
fact.
absolutely. And everybody shows up to spring training hoping for renewal, right? If you had a bad season, that no longer counts. If you had a good season, you want to build on that. So you could decide whatever. It's like it truly is a reflection of life where if you had a great season, you're like, all right, I'm gonna build on last year. If you had a bad season, you're like, oh, I'm putting that away. But what does the body feel like, Carlos? And I know that the this will before we take the next one, the position players are going to show up. What do your hands, for people who've never covered baseball, who've never been around spring training, can you tell us what your hands are going to feel like after 2 weeks of batting practice for the guys who haven't been going all in on batting practice? Because I just remember people would get all kind of like blisters and things like that.
Oh yeah. No. The blisters are real. And look, there is now guys understand. It's like, okay, none of these guys are arriving in spring training out of shape. Like, forget that. That used to be maybe in the 50s, 60s, where they would just show up and be like, okay, this is for me to get ready. These guys have been working out all season. So they all off season. The off season has been, preparing. They spend working on their weaknesses as far as their body is concerned. If maybe they had some problems with their hamstrings, or working on their legs, staying healthy, flexibility. So they get to spring training, they're in tip-top shape. There is not even like any more space to now. It's maintaining, ready for the season. So there's nothing else, let's say, to gain. Rather, let me just fine tune as far as body is concerned. But you bring up a point. I mean, a lot of guys used to take a lot of swings in the off season, a lot of swings. But I remember like Alex Rodriguez and the veterans that I was around, Pudge. They used to say, "I try not to swing the bat until maybe end of January," and I thought that was strange. It's like, so what do you do the whole entire off season? And they used to just say, "No, I get my body ready." Right? They're training to get faster, stronger, more flexible, and they don't swing the bat until later. And I'm like, why is that? And they said, I don't want to fall into any bad habits. And if you are over swinging, like overdoing it, you could fall into some bad habits. So I'd rather just get my body ready, and then I can get into it as spring training is approaching. So that I'll say is true. Their bodies are ready, right? Physically ready. Their swings and all that stuff, they're gonna get into the groove of it now. And it's also incredibly different when you put on those cleats and you start like walking around on the field, even though they've been doing that, they've been running with cleats on and all that. But when you get to spring training, there's a lot of standing around, a lot of moving around with cleats for hours, and your body feels it. Like you get so sore. You're like, wait a second, I've been working out the whole off season. Why is my body sore? You don't even understand it. This is just baseball. Like I'm just fielding ground balls, and I've been doing that. But if you do it in cleats, like in your cleats on the field for a long time, for some reason, like you're gonna feel it. So it's just strange how you have. I think sometimes we assume certain things, but every player has their rituals and their preparation routines. But spring training hits you. Like at the end of the day, you're still going to feel it, no matter how hard you work. And I think it has something to do with just the cleats, man. Like I always say, it's like, man, is it the cleats? Why am I so sore? But these guys are as ready as you could possibly be. I'm telling you, no longer are they getting to spring training out of shape.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, you think about the obviously the investment that they're making into their careers, teams are making into them. You expect a lot of these guys to be in shape and to be ready to go. I think as a fan, we look at spring training kind of like how you said, it's it's the beginning of a new year, and you always key in on those important guys, those guys that were maybe last year had a bad year, maybe they were hurt, and then they come into this new season, into this new spring training, and you're always looking to make sure, man, are you okay? Everything good? How's that running? How's that leg? How's that arm? If you're a pitcher, I think it's really interesting the fact that you said about what you said in regards to the cleats. Those are little things that fans don't know, like they don't expect. It's kind of like when you're coming off of a vacation and you got to go back into the office to work, and you're like, oh man, I forgot my password. I don't even know what my password is. You know what I mean?
What's my
So,
password?
yeah, there's a similarity to that, except I'm not getting paid millions of dollars like a baseball player is.
It's got to be the shoes. Remember that commercial? Well, yeah.
Yeah,
When your back hurts, you're like, man, it's got to be the shoes, man. Why is my
yeah,
back
of
hurting? I
course.
just spent my whole season working out. No, but these guys are ready, Jesus. I'm telling you, these guys are ready. And you know, the, this is what we do here in Plakata. We try to inspire, we empower, and of course, we do it with sazón de béisbol. That's the vehicle that drives us forward. But I'll tell you this, man, these guys are so prepared, and I know the Navy SEALs have this saying. It's like they don't rise to the occasion; they fall to the top level of preparation. That is crazy to me to think about because, and this is so powerful, right? So this is what these guys are doing. They've taken themselves through the most arduous and difficult training in the off season, so that when they get to spring training and eventually the season, it's second nature to them. They're falling back on their preparation, not necessarily rising to the occasion. So, for example, people say, "Man, how can you stay calm when you come up to the plate, and it's bases loaded, 50,000 fans, and it's the seventh inning, and you guys are down by three? How do you stay calm?" Because they're able to fall to their top level of preparation. They're like, this is what I prepared for. There's nothing else for me to do. Just allow it to happen. So we too, like in regular life, anybody, we can apply that. If we prepare ourselves, to the utmost, ability, the limits of our ability, then when the situations arise, we will be able to face them and actually perform without losing our cool. So these guys are right there. I just thought it was a great opportunity to share, that nugget right there on preparation and how important it is.
Sweet. And some guys don't know where they're going. How about that? We still don't know
Ooh.
where some of these guys are going. Where's Alex Bregman going? Is he going to Florida? Is he going to Arizona?
I heard
Because
about yeah,
you know,
man. I've been
like
here in Boston. I've been here in Detroit, Chicago. Dude, Jesus, what's going on with this guy, man? What's going on?
I don't think anybody knows. I'm surprised that it has taken so long. Uh, surprise probably doesn't capture how I feel. I'm shocked
Yeah.
that it's taken so long. I fully expected him in December to find a team, pick a team, and I'm wondering, the Astros. I think they made a good, fair, smart offer, and he turned it down, or just let it sit there, I guess. Um, and now, like the Detroit Tigers were supposedly interested the whole time. He hasn't accepted their offer yet. The Red Sox, supposedly Alex Cora is a big fan, wants them, but I mean, there are a lot of dynamics there. You got a pretty stud uh, third baseman who accepted his long term deal a long time ago. And the Cubs, from what I've read, like if they give him, they'll give him like a short term type deal with that's a lot of money. I do not know, but I'm very shocked that he's still out there. And the Astros, they made their offer. They were up front, and then they moved on. They got their first baseman, they got their third baseman, you know, and so what are you going to do now? And what do you think, Carlos?
Is that offer off the table now? Now that the
Suppose
Astros made their moves, is that offer off the table? Do you think if Alex says, "Hey, okay, I'll sign with you guys"?
supposedly it's not, but I mean,
See, I think it is. So I almost feel like that ship has sailed just because of all the other moves that the Astros have made. And ideally, I wanted Alex to sign back with the Astros. Like that was my immediate thought. Look, I know Alex. I've had some interactions with him. I know his family, and they're great, right? And of course, this guy's a gamer, man. This guy is a gamer. He's a fighter. And we look at the numbers, and we can argue, okay, there's been some decline. You know what I mean? And it's true. You know what I mean? If you are looking at that, like he's had his really really good years in the past. Can you project him forward to do the same? But I'm like, that's not necessarily exactly what you're looking for. If you're thinking to yourself, like, look, if Alex Bregman gives me 85% of his best that I've seen in the past, then he's still one of the better players in the league, right? So if I acquire him, I will be only getting better. Now, the problem is at what cost? How much is that going to cost me? And that's the situation. He is represented by Scott Boras. I was represented by Scott Boras, and Scott is going to try to get top dollar for him. And Scott has a very strong argument because no one prepares harder, than Scott Boras, or at the very least, I haven't experienced that. Of course, I mean, he was my agent, so I know how hard he prepares, and he has an entire case on why Alex Bregman is worth what he's asking for. Now, will teams be persuaded, or will they be enamored by that presentation? That is the key. I feel like teams are reluctant to, as you've seen over the years, signing those long-term deals and those long-term commitments and that big money commitment because it ties them up. And if they feel that they can go ahead and move some pieces at a cheaper price and still get positive results, they're going to do that. So I think things have shifted. The free agent market has shifted. I mean, I'm stating the obvious. And Alex Bregman right now is going through that situation, almost being a victim of an industry shift. And I hate to see it because I want to see what uniform he's going to end up in. If it's not going to be the Astros, I'm thinking, man, the Red Sox. I mean, I saw Alex Cora talk about he'll play second base. It's fine. And I don't think Alex has any problem with that. And that place with the short green ball,
Oh, oh my God.
great there. And his
Yeah.
demeanor, I think he would be great in Boston. So if
Yeah.
if Houston sailed, if that ship sailed, I'm thinking Boston, and Boston will be a great fit, right? We'll see what happens there. I have no answers for you, which is extremely frustrating.
You
yeah,
know, I want to add this. I'm sorry, so I'm going to cut you off. I agree with you 100%. I think Fenway Park would really cater to him. That wall there, man, that guy's gonna get like 50 doubles, dude. He would own in that ballpark. Again, their situation is a bit different because they have Rafael Devers. Unless they put, like you said, Bregman at second. The other team that you can look at is Detroit. His former manager is there,
Yeah.
AJ Hinch, who's obviously loved Bregman, saw him come up through the Houston system. That's a team you can kind of look at as like, that could be a possible destination. And the Tigers are on the up and up. So if you really want to demonstrate, hey, listen, last year wasn't a fluke. We're coming for the Central Division. Signing a guy like Bregman could make that, make other teams be like, oh wow, the Tigers are serious.
Yeah, good call right there. AJ Hinch and Bregman reunited, and that up and coming Detroit Tiger ball club, that's also very enticing. At what cost, though? That's the problem. That's the problem, Rod. I'm telling you, cuz like, are they willing to go ahead and give him 3, 5 years? It's a 2 years. It's a front loaded. It's are they going to just overpay early? Maybe give him an option to walk. What kind of deal can you construct to make this happen? That is the
But don't
question.
but don't you have to take that risk? Like I feel like I understand everybody wants to be careful, and I get it because you can get burned. It's happened to many teams, but I feel like a team like the Tigers should take that risk. That's a guy that gets into that clubhouse, and he's a strong veteran voice. He's a guy that's won, and maybe that's worth the risk for a team like that. You know what I mean? The minute he steps into that clubhouse, everybody's looking at him like, "Oh, you're the man," you know. And like Jesus has said many times, that's the guy, that's the leader, that's the backbone right there.
Yeah,
You know, man,
you,
he's I can't see why not. Why don't you take that risk, especially with that guy?
Jesus, you covered him. And I want you to talk your personal experience with Alex Bregman, because from my interactions with him, I've been nothing but impressed. And you're like, who cares about his personality? He just has to go out there and ball. So, well, he's bald. He's a baller. He's a gamer. And we can go back to the situations in 2017. I don't think anybody in that entire club took it as hard as Bregman. I could, this guy cares. So as far as makeup is concerned, I want him on my team, right? But you're like, oh, Carlos, you're being too romantic.
No,
Like,
no,
you know,
no, absolutely. All you need to know about Alex Bregman is the fact that Jose Altuve, the greatest Houston Astro of all time, has lobbied for him to come back, has called him the leader of the club. I personally think Jose Altuve is the leader. He's just quiet, and people who aren't in the clubhouse don't see it. But when Jose Altuve says, bring him back, I will move to the outfield to make room for Alex Bregman, that's all I need to know. Uh,
oh,
but they also have to build the whole team, and you've seen many teams where they make one deal and they don't have the flexibility. No, Alex Bregman is one of the players I've seen, and I've not been a beat writer here since 2015, so I don't see him on a daily basis. But I've been around this team long enough to know that he is a leader. He is smart. He's a gamer. He cares enough, and he's very, very smart, and he's hungry to the point that when he was on this team, when you had Yuli Gurriel, Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, and that was your infield, he learned Spanish so he could speak to them. He speaks Spanish almost without a non Spanish native speaker accent.
yeah,
This guy is a glue guy, and that's a cliche, but it doesn't even do him justice because he is such a important player to the clubhouse because he's going to bring your team together. Jeff Bagwell and Moises Alou were like that when I covered the first uh, group of Astros I covered. And Carlos, the Major League Baseball clubhouse is a reflection of America, meaning the good and the bad, meaning it's as segregated as America is, where a lot of teams you see the white country guys over here, the very few African Americans over here, all the Latinos over here, and then pitchers over here, hitters over there. They hardly ever hang out, right? Am I lying, Carlos?
that's true. It does happen. That is right.
But but with the Astros in 2001 when I got here, it stood out because it was different from the 2000 Mets. And you could still get to the World Series by having a divided clubhouse. Don't get me wrong. But those 2000 Mets were like, Latinos over here, white guys over here, divided. Those Astros, because of Moises Alou and because of Jeff Bagwell, man, it didn't matter where you were from. You were all running together. And these 2017 to 2024 Astros, because of Bregman, they were all running together. They may not necessarily hang out and do the same things together, but they were a cohesive unit that is very rare. And obviously, like when Carlos Correa was here, he and McCullers had a special bond. You always have guys who have special bonds, and there are special cliques within the greater team. You know, like the Cubans were very close with Yuli, and they all follow Yuli. But because of Bregman, there's a unity in this clubhouse that is truly rare in Major League Baseball.
Wow.
What can you say? For all of the audience out there, what was the deal that the Astro put on the table for Alex Bregman?
Oh, Rodney, do you remember? I think it's a was
What
it
was it? Was
6 years,
6 year,
one fifty
150,
six, I
52,
think.
was it? 52, 56.
56.
It was
Yeah,
56. You're right. Yeah.
See, I'm looking at that, and it's like Scott is thinking we could definitely get more than that. You know what I mean? It's not where it should be. Now looking back, I'm like, if they would have cut, I don't know, a 4-year deal for 150, like maybe. Um, I'm not sure that deal is there right now. So we just wanted to make sure that we reminded the audience of what the Astros did, and which was a good effort.
yeah,
Just that out there in the market, Scott Boras and Alex Bregman believe that they could get more. But I wanted him to retire with that Astros uniform. Now I'm wondering what is going to happen. It almost seems more likely that he's going to go somewhere else. So I believe legacy matters, and I would love for him to come back to Houston, but maybe the ship sailed, and that's sad. Um, and I know when you were talking, Jesus, that you still have hope that he's going to come back.
yeah.
I
So
can almost see it in your face, and I share your sentiment, man. I want him. I want him in that uniform.
and the reason is I've covered baseball long enough that I'm always hesitant to say the door is closed because I've written, oh, the door is closed. The Astros will never sign another Scott Boras client. And then, like 4 years later, 3 years later, the Astros signed Ivan Rodriguez, even after we were told by sources that they weren't interested because Scott will go to the owner and get
Yeah,
a deal
see
done.
what happened.
And the GM will be like, and you would have talked to the GM, and the GM told you, oh, nothing's going on. Oh, no, never
Hmm.
heard of that. Never heard of Ivan Rodriguez going to the Astros. No, no, you can discount that. And then the next day, you're like, whoa, what just happened? So I've covered Boris and baseball long enough to know that, but also like I said when Christian Walker signed with the Astros, even before that, when they acquired Isaac Paredes, I said it's done. The Alex Bregman era is over. And then a couple of weeks ago, reports start coming out that maybe it's not quite over. So I'm just I like the guy a lot. I like the people who work in the Astros front office. I'm just hesitant to say it's a no when Scott Boras can just work magic and come back and be like, hey, are you sure that deal still on the table?
Yeah. Hey. Okay. As we speak right now, maybe Scott Boras is on the phone with Crane directly. Directly. Every Houston Astros fan out there is hoping that that's exactly what's going on. And guys, just moving on to the next topic is the fact that CBS Sports has pulled out the power rankings, and we were looking at the power rankings in the major leagues, and of
Yep.
course, number one on the power rankings are the mighty Dodgers, Los Angeles Dodgers, and I don't think we can argue with that. I said very candidly that the Dodgers have the best rotation on paper. People get so excited when I say stuff like I'm like, this is the best rotation in the history of baseball. They're like, what? They haven't even pitched yet. I'm like, on paper, they got to be healthy. All I'm saying, Jesus, is this: when you have now, Tani pitching as well, Glass knows that, right? And you're like, wait a second, they were pretty good last year without a rotation. So now, because they had so many injuries, and now you got these two guys, healthy. Then who could argue with that, right? So Dodgers number one, Phillies number two, Braves number three, Yankees number four, and Mets number five. which I was like, whoa, the Mets, number five, that's not too shabby. That's pretty good, you know. But I still was surprised that the Mets did not eclipse the Yankees just because of, so much buzz with the lineup of the Mets, after signing Pete and having him come back. So I would love to get your thoughts on this power rankings. I don't think anybody's going to argue with the Dodgers, but everything else, I think we can shuffle those around a little bit.
I'll say this. I'll go with my power rankings. I agree. Dodgers number one. They are the big dog in the yard, and until someone knocks them off, they'll be number one. I was hesitant with the Phillies, but you guys convinced me, man. And I'm just looking at their rotation too. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Ragnar Suarez, Jesus Luzardo, Christopher Sanchez, and then you add that lineup, man. That lineup is nasty. But then you got the Braves number three. I you know I could almost flip flop the Phillies and the Braves. I feel like getting the a former MVP and Ronald Acuna back into that lineup,
Yes.
a healthy Albies too, man. That's a dangerous and potent lineup. And in terms of the Yankees and the Mets, I'm gonna leave it at it as it is. I'm not being biased. So I know, Carlos, you're looking at me. I'm not being biased. All I'm saying,
You are a
all I'm
Yankee.
saying is, no,
We
I
gotta let
am a
everybody
Yankee
know.
fan, but I'm listen, in the Plakata Nation podcast, I am an objective fan. Okay, I am objective, and I have been. In this case,
You tried.
yes, the Mets signed Soto, and that's great. They needed that. They really needed that because they're going directly up against that heck of a division and the
Yes.
Dodgers. So they needed that. But the Yankees went in and they said, listen, we did what we could. We wanted Soto back. It didn't work out that way. What did we do? Let's pivot. Let's work on things. That Yankee bullpen on paper, Carlos, is the best bullpen in baseball. That bullpen is nasty. Go look at those names. Go look at those names.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
going to
no.
get a full season of Jazz Chisholm, a full season of Jazz Chisholm in that stadium. You understand?
Yeah,
So I
man,
like
I really like that. Look, at first I was like, man, how's Jazz going to blend in there? I think this is going to be good. I think it's going to pan out nicely. This is going to be great for Jazz.
yeah,
No, I mean,
yeah.
I'm just saying, with the Mets and that lineup, could they have eclipsed the Yankees on the power rankings? This doesn't matter. We're just ranking them out. They still got to go out there and play. But it is fun to throw around. It's like, what team looks better on paper? As soon as I'm looking at the Phillies, I would say the Phillies are like super well rounded, right? They
Yeah.
do everything. They play defense. They swing bats. They pitch. Like, okay, that's a well rounded team. The Yankees bullpen, yes, it's lights out. And that's, the Mets, when you talk about pitching, there's questions there. So I could see why they have them this way. I just thought, could the lineup, Lindor, Pete, and Soto, and then the rest of the guys are like, don't forget, these guys can also swing the bats. We got some uh, um, power in that lineup. Is this enough to eclipse the Yankees? Power ranking says no.
No, but you know what, Carlos? What two teams were we arguing about above them? Phillies and the Braves. Those are the two teams in the Mets division. So there's people that are thinking the Mets are the third best team in
Yep.
that division, which is insane to
Yes,
think about
yes,
it after the offseason they just had. So you got to think about that for a second. As much as the Yankees and the Mets are fighting for the headlines in the back pages, Jesus, to have many people think, oh yeah, the Mets are the third best team in the National League East. That's crazy.
yeah, that's a tough division, my man.
Yeah, that's a tough division. But what else is new, right? I've been
Yeah.
covering baseball for since 1997. That's the story of the baseball, right? Like AL East, NL East, big dogs, right? The
Mhm.
Braves, the Braves, the Mets, the Phillies are rather new to that, but they're always up there. And then you look at the AL East, and you're like, Baltimore Orioles made their little run, but you look at the Tampa Bay Rays, what they've been able to do out of nowhere, so you can't discount them regardless of how bad they might
Yeah.
look. But I my power rankings, and I'm gonna tell you here, like, just book the Rangers for the World Series championship. They're just because I'm gonna tell you, Bruce Bochy, some way, somehow,
Wait.
I,
Time
I'm
out.
I'm being funny. I'm
Yo,
being.
if I had the bomb effect, the
What,
I,
full
what,
master flex, boom! I
I'm
would
being.
have dropped the
the,
bomb, yo.
I,
what the heck just happened? Wait a second.
because let
I
me tell
gave
you.
you
But
five
he's not
teams,
wrong. I don't think he's wrong.
and the
Look at
Rangers
that
were nowhere
team,
near. We're talking about the top five, and now
dude.
the
Uh,
Rangers all
Folks,
the way
look
to
at that
the top.
team. Look at who they're getting back. A
Boom.
lot of people were hurt last year. They're getting a lot of these dudes back. You
and,
know what?
Here,
He might
let
not
me
be
hear it.
wrong.
Let me hear it. I want to hear it. Jesus,
and
please.
I'm not even gonna break down the team. I'm gonna be. I'm half joking, but listen to me here. Bruce Bochy wins the World Series, misses the playoffs. Wins the World Series, misses the playoff. Wins the World Series, misses the playoffs. That's what he did a decade ago. And the series, the little cycle started 2 years ago. They won the World Series. Let's remember, this is the World Series champion from just 2 years ago. The 2023 World Series champions are the Texas Rangers.
What do you? But you can't.
Odd year World
Odd
Series.
year,
What?
odd year.
Like,
Like,
Odd year.
we're looking at financial markets or something. Like we're looking at charts in the market. And like, well, according to the chart
yeah,
in the market,
I'm,
this year it should be up. So
yeah,
Boshi is up
yeah,
this year. Am I correct? Boshi
yeah,
is up. Boshi should be
absolutely.
trending up.
Yes, absolutely. Think about it because no, but seriously, like the AOS right now, you have to think the Rangers are the team, right? But I think the Astros have a lot. I really like what the Astros have done. I think the Astros are very um, underrated right now. People aren't, but I think quietly uh, what they did with Paredes is really going to help. And Christian Walker, man, I can't tell you how badly they needed a first baseman last year of Christian Walker's caliber. Defensively and at the plate, that's a huge. This team is way better than people give it credit. Obviously, you can't lose Kyle Tucker and act like you didn't lose much because you lost one of the best players in baseball. And if you were giving me the choice between Juan Soto and Kyle Tucker, I would take Kyle Tucker. Uh,
He's a player.
but he's a player, and probably because of the money, like I'll couch it on it. I'll take Kyle Tucker because he's least expensive, but next year he won't be that
Yeah,
cheap.
yeah.
No,
Hey, we saw these
he's gonna get
comparisons. You put
paid.
them right next to each other. You put Soto and Tuck next to each other. You're going to be like, whoa, this is. I didn't see this. I didn't see this coming. Obviously, a lot of press going towards Juan Soto, and rightfully so. But Kyle Tucker is a really good player, extremely underrated.
Yeah.
So do yourself a favor and sit there and go on Baseball Savant, or just simply go on the MLB.com app and put player comparison and put Juan Soto, Kyle Tucker. Have fun because it's going to surprise you. If you haven't done so, it's a fun exercise. This guy is definitely slugger, plays defense. He's complete, and he's actually from Florida, down the street, and
Yeah,
had
Tampa.
opportunity to yeah.
He's gonna look great in pinstripes next year.
Oh, I see you working. I see you working. It's all right. You start campaigning right now. I get it.
Wait. I gotta give some credit to Jesus with his Rangers thing because now he put an inception in my brain. The Rangers, I forgot. The Rangers have Jacob DeGrom. If Jacob DeGrom is healthy, that's the best pitcher in baseball.
He
Nobody
is
better.
absolutely not.
Nobody better.
Yeah,
Man, we missed him.
unfortunately, you can't count on him. One thing I learned because I was very high on Jacob Degrom, but I think 2 years ago, 3 seasons ago, I would talk to pitchers. Give me your top five rotation, and whether it was all time or current, Jacob Degrom, like so many people who know baseball think that dude's one of the best arms, and but he has to be healthy. But
Yeah.
when healthy, there are very few guys who could say they're better. But I until I see him, go 3 months in a row, I'm not gonna count him.
Well, guys, I mean, super exciting stuff. A lot of storylines that we're going to be following this season, and baseball is back. And we're pumped
Yes, it
about
is.
that. Yes, sir.
So hype.
So
So
I
hype,
love
man.
it. As soon as I get
So
done,
hype.
from with recording this, I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm pumped up. Trying to get ready for the season. But listen, guys, obviously the way we end always all the time in Plakata
Wait,
Nation.
wait up, Carlos. If you're gonna go to the gym, well, I'm gonna go get a hot dog. Get ready for the season.
No,
Like
you're gonna go run because I know that's exactly what you're gonna do. Because I know you've been running a lot, so I know you're gonna go take some laps. You always say that, but I think what you try to do, you're just trying to like trick me. He's like, I'm gonna go get a hot dog, and the guy goes and runs 2.5 miles.
He runs 2.5 miles to the hot dog stand. That's what he does.
Yeah.
Then he runs 2.5
No.
miles back home.
Okay, then he burns it out.
With all seriousness, I do not eat hot dogs. So there you go, a confession.
Oh, good. See, I knew you were tricking me. I was like, I'm not gonna fall for that. Then I go see you, and Jesus was like lean and mean and ready to go.
Cut.
You
He's
know what I'm
cut.
saying? And I got like 3 chins going because I'm eating. You know what I mean? Anyways, all right, guys. Quote of the day: Confucius. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. I absolutely love this quote because it's precisely what we're talking about, right? We have choices in life, right? We could either go get a hot dog or go for a 2-mile run or go for just a lap around the block, walking, whatever it is. We just have to make sure that we conquer ourselves and our impulses. And sometimes those are not positive. So that's why if we're able to conquer ourselves and make right choices, that is the number one step to success in whatever we set out to be in life. I mean, we're talking about as parents, we're talking about as creators, whatever your profession is. When you conquer yourself, just in life in general as a person, that is the number one step to just a life of fulfillment. So it starts with us. It's like when they say you versus you. This is the truth, right? So if you could compare yourself, and I'll leave with this, and then I'll let you guys comment. So I was like, okay, what am I doing? Am I comparing myself to the guy next door? Who am I competing with? It's you versus you. I would say this: compare yourself to you yesterday. Can I be a little bit better than yesterday? It could be maybe I ate a little bit healthier. Maybe I took care of my body a little bit more today than I did yesterday. I went for a walk a little bit better than yesterday. So he who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Let's go ahead and conquer ourselves, guys.
100%.
That's a great message. I love this episode. I'm glad we're back up and running. I love Plakata, y'all. Thank
That's
you,
it,
Carlos.
baby.
Thank you, Rodney.
Yeah. The Plakata way.
Definitely, all the way, baby. That's what we do. It's about being better, 1% better than yesterday. That's it. That's all. That's all.
Incremental gains. Incremental gains. That's what Plakata is all about.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
everyone out there listening, thank you so much for joining us today. And we can't wait to have you once again on our next episode. It's going to be legit. But thank you for joining us. All right. Plakata.